Hello and good morning, everyone. It's so nice to have you all here today. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to everybody onto National Careers Week Meet Your Future 2021, part of the Bridge GM Meet Your Future Work Shadowing campaign. I'm Nafisa Hakim and I'm the Enterprise Coordinator working in schools and colleges across Manchester, and I'm part of the Bridge GM team over at the Combined Authority. If you attend a school or college in any other part of Greater Manchester, then you will have an enterprise coordinator like me working with your school or college. Meet Your Future was launched in April 2019 and is intended a simple but effective way to enable young people to have conversations with employers and businesses whilst experiencing different workplaces and working environments. We hope that these types of events and activities will assist you in understanding what the world of work has to offer you living in this part of the country, and help you make sense of what options and pathways you might follow after leaving school or college. Over the last 12 months, we have been speaking with young people from all 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester to find out how you are feeling and how best we should support you through the pandemic, your return to school and your choices and the next steps into your future. We've been listening and we've learned a lot from you, so we have now developed a suite of information, resources and services that are designed to help you. These can be found on GMAX, which is a website that you can use to help support some of the decisions and choices you need to make. GMAX also allows you to speak in person to a member of the Bridge GM team who will be happy to support and assist you with anything specific you might have. They might also signpost and direct you onto another source of information and advice. You are joining us today on the final day of a week-long timetable of events and Q&As with employers and businesses representing a wide range of sectors across GM. We've also been hearing from notable people about their personal education and careers journeys and how they ended up where they are today. In this session now, we are absolutely delighted and privileged to be joined by and able to hear from Chloe Hallows and Lauren Valentine from Greater Manchester Higher. They will be talking about researching higher education and graduate salaries. You will have a chance in the session to ask Chloe and Lauren any questions that you have via the chat function. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Chloe and Lauren.
Okay, thank you very much, Nafisa. Hopefully everybody's able to see our slides now. So we'd just like to extend that welcome as well to everybody. So thank you all for joining today. Like Nafisa said, my name's Lauren and we've also got Chloe. We're from GM Hire, and I'll explain a little bit in a second who GM Hire are for those of you who might not have heard of us or worked with us before. In today's session, we're going to be talking a bit about research at university and also graduate outcomes. So why people go to university and what kind of things you can get out of going to university or to higher education as well. This session is a little bit more suited to those of you who might be in college or sixth form. If you're in school, it's still beneficial information as well, but don't worry if you find it maybe a little bit beyond you or if you think it's a little bit in detail, because these are all things that you've got plenty of time to consider and research as well. So GM Hire is a collaboration of all of these universities and further education colleges that you can see on screen now. These are all based in Greater Manchester, and what we do is we aim to give you impartial information, advice and guidance about your next steps. So whether that be going on to college, university, or if you're interested in apprenticeships and things like that as well. We have lots of different resources, so we can give you advice about revision skills, interview skills, study skills, and also decision making for the future. And we'll give you a bit of information about how you can find more of that at the end of this session. So in this session then, what we're going to do is help you to understand the options available to you after college or sixth form. We'll look into the benefits of higher education, why people choose to go and what you can gain from it. We'll also help you a bit with how to do your research, so helping you to understand what to explore when you're researching your options, particularly in the current circumstances. and we're going to introduce you to 2 tools that you can use going forwards from this session that are going to help and support you with future decision making. So we know that at the moment, particularly with the pandemic going on, that a lot of you might be feeling a bit uncertain about your future and definitely have a lot of questions about it. You've probably heard from teachers or people around you that going on to higher education is a good option and will help you in the future, but you might still have questions such as all of these types of things you can see on the screen. So what kind of jobs are you going to go into? You might not be too sure about student loans. You might be wondering how you possibly make these decisions with so much choice. And these are all things that we're hoping to help you out with today. So I'll pass over to Chloe now, who's going to talk to you a bit about higher education.
So in this section, I'm going to tell you a little bit more information about higher education and what kind of options you guys have available to you in the future. Okay, so currently, I'm sure if you guys are in college, maybe studying A-levels, B-Techs, or even apprenticeship or T-levels, you guys might be at a level 3. So this is usually what a lot of people are at when they're at college. If anybody in this room is still taking their GCSEs, then you guys will be at level 1 and 2. Or some of you might be at college also studying a B-Tech level 2 as well. Okay, so before you can progress onto what we call higher education, you have to complete further education, which is your level 3 qualification. So as I mentioned, that could be things like T-levels, A-levels, B-Tech level 3, or apprenticeship level 3 as well. After that, you then move on to higher education, which is level 4, 5, and 6. The common route in higher education is doing an honours degree, which is the degree that you traditionally do at a university. This is normally 3 years, and in those 3 years, you do 3 levels, 4, 5, and 6, as you can see on the screen here. But going to university is not the only form of higher education that you guys can do. You have lots of different options and flexibility. So, for example, you may go and study at an FE college. There are lots of different colleges in Manchester that provide qualifications after your level 3 to do a 4, 5 and 6. Often these come in the form of a foundation degree or a HNC and HND. These allow you to build up your qualifications over time. We call them stepping stone qualifications because they allow you to gradually build up your level 4, 5 and 6. And in the end, you would graduate with the same degree as what someone would do if they were going to university. You could also do a higher end degree level apprenticeship. Again, after you finish this, you would have the same level of qualification as somebody who's done a degree at a university. However, you'll go about it in a different way. So you might study and work at the same time to get that apprenticeship at a higher level in a level 6. Okay, so just now to give you a bit more information about the different learning styles at these different places. So if you go to a traditional university, for example, in Manchester, we have the University of Manchester, Manchester Met, the University of Salford, among others. These are traditional institutions, and it's what a lot of people do after they finish college. But as I said, it's not the only option you have. Often at these institutions, you may have large lectures, as well as seminars alongside of those as well. So you may study in a lecture hall with lots and lots of people, sometimes over 100 different people in the same lecture. And then you would go to a seminar and discuss things with your peers. You often have a lot of work to do independently, so you might go to the library and do your own studies, and there will be variation in terms of your assessment styles. If you were to do a foundation degree or a HNC or HND at a college, the learning style might be a little bit different. So often when you study at a college and do a HE course, your learning style is a little bit different. So you may have smaller class sizes, you may spend longer time doing the same work, and you may get more support from your lecturers. So depending on how you study best may change what kind of institution you go to in the future. So say if you prefer to have a smaller class size, you might want to go to a college, whereas if you want lots of independence, you may go to a university. You then also have higher and degree level apprenticeships. So these are where you are studying and working at the same time. So you will have an employer that you work with, and then maybe once a week you might go into a university to study. There are a range of different apprenticeships out there that you can do, and you do have to research and have a little look into what is available for whatever discipline you would like to go into. Okay, so on this screen here are lots of different courses that you can study in higher education, and the aim of this slide really is to show you the vast range of different courses that you can do. When we look at education, at GCSE you've got a few options, at college you have a few more options that you can do. There's a few courses at college that you can do that might have not been offered to you at GCSE. And then when you look at university, there are even more different courses that you can do that you would never have even dreamed of at college or at GCSE. Looking on this slide alone, we've got things like chemistry and drug discovery. We've got speech and language therapy. We've got contemporary circus and physical theatre, which is a bit of a weird and wonderful one. We've got things like animal behaviour, bioengineering, game design. So loads of different things that you can do in higher education and that you may not have even done at college. So there's lots of different things out there that you can explore. Okay. So why higher education then? So there's lots of different reasons as to why somebody might want to go to higher education, and I'm just going to talk a few of these through with you now. So one of the reasons why people might want to go to higher education is you may want to get more knowledge about your favourite subject. So for example, for my A-levels, I took sociology and I really enjoyed studying this as an A-level. And then for university, I decided to study this further. So I went to university, I learned a lot more about sociology as a subject, I learned a lot more about what that might entail, what different things are available, and I learned so much information about that course and I really enjoyed studying it. You also might want to learn a bit more about the course to enable you to do a job. So for example, if you went to do biochemistry and then decide to go on to be a biochemist, it will give you all that knowledge that you need in order to progress through the workplace. Similarly, university can provide you lots of different opportunities to do lots of exciting things like travel opportunities. So in my degree, I did a year abroad, which allowed me to go abroad for a year as part of my studies and work and study in Canada. So I studied my degree there, and that's what we call a sandwich year. You can also do work experience as well as part of that and maybe work abroad or work in this country. And university is able to give you those travel opportunities that you may not get if you were to not go to university. Volunteering as well. I did lots of volunteering when I was at uni, and this allowed me to get lots of work experience that I was able to take with me into the workplace. So sometimes you can become a president of your own society, or you could get volunteering experience working in the community or working with different groups. So it's a great opportunity to build on those skills and to network and meet lots of different people in lots of different industries that you might want to go into. University also provides you with independence. So even if you stay at home or move away from home, university is a more independent kind of study than what you are doing at college. And that allows you to grow quite a lot as a person. I know that might sound corny, but I definitely feel like I grew a lot while I was at university because I was able to become self-sufficient and gain a lot of confidence in myself and what I was doing. Also, the student life along with that is obviously very fun. I'm sure you've heard about the student life at university. There are lots of different things that you can join, different societies and things. You can carry on hobbies that you have in school, as well as pick up new skills, and meet lots of different people who are like-minded and who have similar interests to you. So loads of different reasons why people might go into higher education. It is a very fun experience. And if you do have any questions, I can see some coming through. We'll answer those at the end. Please do ask away if you do want to know any more information about education.
Okay, thank you, Chloe. So I'm just going to talk a bit more about that in terms of student outcomes. So Chloe spoke about why people might decide to go to university, all the different opportunities that it can provide you with. Also, students choose to go to university in order to enhance their career prospects. So graduates in the UK typically earn 30% more than non-graduates, and are also less likely to find themselves in long-term unemployment as well. So definitely beneficial in terms of your career prospects. However, most employers don't look for a specific degree. So whilst you may need a specific degree for things like nursing or law or architecture, a lot of employers actually just like the fact that you have a degree, because having a degree, as Chloe's just mentioned, shows lots of different transferable skills, will make you more independent, and also help you to decide a bit more about what you want to do in the future as well. So that's really valuable to employers. So just as an example, you can see some on the screen about these degrees that you might consider that don't necessarily lead to certain jobs. Like, you don't have to study psychology and become a psychologist. You could work in marketing, HR, you could be a detective. There's plenty of different options for that subject. Similarly with the other ones you can see here, like history or art, or for example, I studied French and Spanish, and a lot of people were thinking, well, you're going to be a translator or you're going to be a teacher, and I'm none of those things, but also studying things like languages opens up a whole range of different careers as well. Similarly with many graduate schemes, so after you leave university, when you're applying for jobs and things, you might also come across a lot of graduate schemes where you kind of work and get training at the same time. Many of these also just want you to have a degree, and don't ask for one in a specific subject. Another thing in terms of student outcomes is personal development. So it's not simply going to university that will get you a good job. It's how you apply yourself whilst you're there and the different opportunities that you choose to make the most of. So you can experience things like placements, which might be included in your course, or you may look into a voluntary placement. Similarly with part-time jobs, a lot of students work whilst they're at university. So I think it's something like 80% of students have a part-time job just to help with the financial side of things, but also to gain that experience as well. So you could be employed by your university, for example, as a student ambassador, helping out with things like open days and events. Or you could maybe work in a restaurant or a shop. Whilst I was at university, I did tutoring for primary school children, which was another flexible part-time job to have as well. Trips and visits, so lots of courses and societies will provide trips all over the world, and as Chloe mentioned, with many courses you also get the opportunity to study abroad as well. You don't have to just study a language for that. If you decide to move away for your chosen higher education course, you might have the choice to live alone, live with friends, or live with flatmates. So that independent living will really help to prepare you for the future as well. And another thing Chloe mentioned was clubs and societies. So these are like extracurricular activities, but there is a huge choice of these at university. So I've heard of things like a Quidditch society, a vegan society, even like really niche ones like a hummus appreciation society. And also, if you do go to university and you can't find the society that you want to join, the university or the student union is able to give you money to set up that society as well. So plenty of different options and opportunities to get involved with. Okay, so we've got a short activity for you. We've just got 3 questions, and what we're going to ask you to do is guess the graduate based on the clues. So these are all famous people, they're all celebrities who have got university degrees, and we're going to see if you can guess who our 3 celebrities are. So your first clue is that they studied at Princeton University and Harvard Law School, so actually got 2 degrees. I'm going to ask you to put your guesses in the chat box. Don't worry if you've got no idea, like we're all just guessing. And hopefully Chloe will be able to let me know what guesses are coming through. Your second clue is that they've written a book titled Becoming. And your third clue is that this person served as the First Lady between 2009 and 2017. So I think if anything, this is going to be the clue that gives it away a little bit, but I will see what your guesses are.
Yes, if everybody can pop their guesses into the Q&A box, that would be great. Hopefully you've got a bit of an idea, especially with that last clue. They tend to get a little bit more specific as we go through. So yeah, hopefully you guys can see a little bit more now. If you can guess what kind of person we're talking about here, or which person we're talking about. Fab, so we've got some answers coming through here now. I think that last one definitely gave it away. So we have a couple of guesses. Firstly, Michelle Obama, and someone has just said Obama, so I'm guessing they mean Barack, but yes, I'm sure Lauren can reveal the answer there.
Yeah, so the answer to that one was, of course, Michelle Obama. She has a degree in sociology and African American studies, and also a degree in law as well. So you can see kind of the clear trajectory there from what she studied to her kind of career path, but also in terms of the opportunities and the skills that she's gained as a person as well. So positive role model there. We'll move on to the next one. So person number 2 is a famous sports player who was originally from Belgium. He studied a master's in business administration at Manchester Business School. And I shall reveal clue number 3, which may well give it away again. So before he retired in August 2020, he was Manchester City's captain. So any football fans amongst you will probably know this one from that, but we'll see if any of you have got any guesses, or if anything's thrown a bit of confusion in there, such as originally from Belgium but studied in Manchester. We'll see what you think. Okay, so this one's probably a bit trickier than the first one.
Yeah. Oh, looks like we've got a couple of answers coming through now, Lauren.
Okay, what kind of things are we getting?
Okay. Okay, so we've got a couple of people going for Vincent Company, is that how you say his name? And yeah, I think that's everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. Vincent Company is the correct answer. So he's a footballer, as I'm sure you all know, or football captain as well. But he's actually studied a master's in business administration, as you can see there in clue number 2. So this might be another reason why people choose to go to university, because he's said in interviews that he chose to study that MBA because he knew that being a footballer isn't a career that you can have for your whole life. There's going to come an age where you can no longer run around scoring goals all the time and keep up with things like that. So he studied that to kind of future-proof his career and to make sure that he still had other pathways open to him after he finishes his football career. So the third and final one we've got, was born in Wales but now lives in London. Second clue is that this person studied medicine at Exeter University. And clue number 3, he's recently been appointed as Youth Mental Health Ambassador for the UK government. And I know he's been on TV a lot as well, fairly recently, talking about this kind of work that he's done. And he's been a very prominent character within the pandemic too. So be interesting to see if any of you have got any guesses for this one as well.
Nothing coming. I think people started coming through now in terms of their guesses. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a couple here saying Dr. Alex George.
Yeah, so you've all done really well actually. You've got all of these completely correct. So yeah, Dr. Alex George, doctor and influencer, we could say. So as you can see with this one, definitely more of a clear link between his degree and his job role, but he's also gone on to do great things like becoming a mental health ambassador, partly because of his personal experiences as well, but obviously has a stable career in medicine now following his degree and has become a really good role model. So hopefully that activity kind of helps you to see what kind of careers different degrees can lead on to, and also the different reasons why people might study a degree. So like the Vincent Company example there as well. So I'll pass back over to Chloe now to talk a bit more about how to do your research.
Thanks, Lauren, and well done on the quiz. So yeah, so now I'm just going to give you a little quick overview about what kind of things you might want to consider in terms of making your research and making those decisions on what you might want to do after college. Okay, so there's a few things that you might want to consider here when looking at your options. So if you've got a phone or something on you, or you might want to take a screenshot of this slide just to kind of for future reference. So some of the things you might want to look into is firstly the ratings. So when you're looking at universities, there are different ratings for different courses, okay, and different universities as well. You can look at things like who is the best for that subject, who is the best for graduate outcomes, who is the best for student experience, etc. So have a little look at the ratings and decide what kind of factors are important to you. So you might, for example, really want to have a good, fun student experience, or you might be looking for somewhere where you can definitely get a really good job afterwards. So there are different things that different people will look for in a university. If you're thinking about commuting to somewhere, think about how you're going to get there. So look at what's in a commutable distance and work out where's feasible to get to. If you're really undecided on what kind of courses you want to do, pick something that you'll really enjoy. That's always our main tip. Okay, so think about what you're going to find most fun, think about what you're going to enjoy the most, and that'll really help you in terms of what you can choose. As Lauren has said, just having a degree opens the door to lots of different jobs that you can go into. So by picking something you'll really enjoy, you'll still keep those options open for you to go into hopefully a career that you'll really enjoy. Each course at each university is completely different, okay? So say if you're looking at doing history at Manchester Met, history at Manchester Uni, history at the University of Sheffield, the University of Leeds, wherever it is you want to go, will be different. Okay, so when you're looking at different courses, it's important that you look at the content and ensure that you're really looking into what that course will involve. Alongside that, look into the entry requirements, because the entry requirements will be different at each university. The best way to answer all your questions is to go to open days, and some of these are now happening virtually rather than actually on site, but they're still a really good way to ask all those questions. Also look into things like what the student support will look like at that university, you know, how much might it cost to live there compared to how much student loan you're entitled to, and make sure you're speaking to your tutors and family as well about what you think might be the best option for you. Okay, so on the next slide then, we have here some links that might be really useful for you, and what we'll do is we'll pop these in the chat box as well so you can refer back to them later, or again you might want to take a screenshot or a picture of this slide. The main place I think that everyone should start looking is UCAS. So once you're initially trying to begin your search, look on the UCAS website and then start looking at things like the Discover Uni website, and there's lots of other things that might be really useful for you to look onto. But I'll pop those links in the Q&A box for you as well a bit later.
Okay, so thank you for that, Chloe. We appreciate that we've given you a lot of information today and maybe gone over some of it quite briefly for time purposes, but just because we wanted to kind of open you up to all of the different options and the things that you can consider as well. We certainly don't expect you to take it all in here and now, so I'm just going to tell you about a couple of tools that GM Hire has, which is what I mentioned earlier on, which we're going to give you access to help you with your decision making, and you can access both of these anytime from now and in the future. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the pay index. So if you've attended previous talks this week, then you might have come across this already. It lets you explore topics such as where most people go to study your subject, how much a typical graduate might earn, up to 10 years after studying different subjects, and also lets you explore the gender pay gap as well. So there's a little demo video on the right hand side of the screen here. This is what the reports look like. You can use it on a mobile phone or also on a computer or laptop as well. And you can see all the different subjects here. This person has chosen like biosciences and chemistry, to see the different salary outcomes for each one. It's based on labour market information, so it can help you to determine potential salary outcomes for various degree subjects. There's also lots of resources within the platform to help you understand the data. So it is really visual, as you can see, but if there's certain graphs or certain reports that maybe you don't really understand, there is a lot of commentary and information around it to help you to navigate through that. It is, of course, completely free. You just need to make an account, which you can come back to at any time. So the link is at the bottom of the screen here, but we can share that in the chat box for you, for those of you who do want to investigate that. It's also worth mentioning that within the Pay Index platform, there's links to several other resources to support your decision making. So there'll be links to the pages that Chloe's just mentioned. There's also links to things like parent and carer resources, because we appreciate that these are the kind of decisions that you want to get other people involved in and help you out with. So there's resources there for parents, carers and teachers as well. So would definitely recommend signing up to that one and having a look around. Also helps you to explore things like where people go to study your degree subject. So you might find that most people go to the Southwest to study your subject, and therefore you can have a look into the universities that are there, why that might be. So what are those universities offering? Just opens your mind to lots of different factors that you can consider. So one example of something that the Pay Index can tell you, if anybody's attended the previous session that we've just done, you'll likely already know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask the question again anyway for those of you who've just joined this session. So the Pay Index can help you to look into student loans and understand things like your monthly repayments, and also what comes out in terms of tax or national insurance as well. So just a quick question for you. Do you think that if you earn £27,000 a year, your student loan repayments will be higher or lower than a medium Big Mac meal? So if you want to put higher or lower, in the chat box and we'll reveal that information for you in a second. We've got this missing box here, so you can see how much you will be paying per month in tax and national insurance. So what do you think the student loans deduction is likely to be? To be higher or lower than the cost of a Big Mac meal?
Just to say as well, guys, we're not expecting you to actually kind of work this out. So unless anyone's really good and quick at maths, but just to, you know, go for a higher or lower, just give us a guess and see what you're thinking. Okay, so we've got a few answers coming through now, Lauren. Looks like we have a mixture of both higher and lower.
Okay, that's interesting. So can reveal the answer. So if you were earning £27,000 per year, your monthly student loan repayment would currently be £3 a month, and a medium Big Mac meal apparently these days is £4.60. So you can see there that it puts into perspective that if student loans is something that you're concerned about or something that you don't know that much about, can help you to understand that really it wouldn't be that much of a commitment and not that much to pay back. That would of course increase as your salary increases, but it's all based on how much you earn. So definitely recommend going and having a look around the pay index to help you explore more about that and tailor it to the subject that you want to study as well. Second thing we're going to tell you about, so the second tool kind of to help you out, is our Ask Us platform. This is something else that we can put a link to for you in the chat box. So on our Ask Us platform, this is a section of our website where all of our staff and ambassadors have got profiles. So as you can see here, you can see in the bio what we studied, what we're doing now, all that different kind of information, what your interests are maybe, and you can go on that platform and chat one-to-one. It's all secure and moderated. And you can chat one-to-one with our different members of staff and ambassadors. You can ask us about anything, so anything that me and Chloe have talked about today, questions about university, student finance, maybe where to look for apprenticeships if that's what you're into, or even things like, do we have any tips for studying for exams, or how do you prepare for an interview, or where might you look for work experience? We're all very friendly, so definitely don't be shy. Come on there and ask us any questions that you have if you would like to. As Chloe mentioned, we will be giving you the opportunity to ask a few questions now, but it might be that in, say, a week or a month's time, something else comes up and you'd like to chat to somebody about that. So you can see a QR code there, or we'll also share the link as well. Okay, so the key things to take away from this session, I will just let Chloe go over this for you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lauren. So in a moment, like you said, we may have a chance to answer a couple of questions, so I don't want to linger too long on this slide. But we just want to ensure that after this session, you understand how many different options there are in higher education. You understand how to use the pay index, and you know that that is available for you if you want to do your research, as well as some other resources that I've popped in the chat box for you. Hopefully you are aware that it's not all about the money, that there's lots of different benefits of going into higher education. Hopefully we've shown those to you today. And if we don't get a chance to answer all your questions today, please do drop us a message on Ask Us. Both me and Lauren are on there. Hopefully you realise that we're quite friendly and we're willing to answer any questions that you guys have, as well as all of our team who can answer those questions for you. So please do drop us a message on there if you want to know any more information about your specifics, things that you're interested in, or anything about what you might want to do in the future. And then finally, I'm just going to pop a link to this now in the Q&A box. But we do have an evaluation, so please let us know how you thought about today, and if there's anything that you really enjoyed or anything that you wish we'd spoken about but we didn't. Please do let us know. We're always really happy to hear your feedback on our sessions. But yeah, that is everything from us now. So I think we've got a couple of minutes to answer any questions. But if we don't get round to your question, please do drop us a message on Ask Us. And I've popped that in the chat box there for you, so you can click on that and just drop us a message if you've got anything you want.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Chloe. Let's just quickly go through the chat. We have got a couple of minutes to go through some questions. We've got a question here that's asking, what's the difference between undergraduate with foundation year and foundation degree?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So simply, if you do a foundation year, which is part of a wider degree, that kind of slots in between your level 3 and level 4. So you finish at college, maybe for example you're looking at something like nursing and you've not got quite the right qualifications to do that course. The foundation year will just top up your qualifications to then start at level 4, whereas a foundation degree starts at level 4, 5 and then goes on, you can go on to top that up to a degree. That makes sense. So your foundation year is topping up those qualifications. Your foundation degree is actually giving you further qualifications. I hope that makes sense. If you have any more questions on that, please do drop us a message.
Yeah, and I think that's answered a question we've got in the chat here about if you're not good in science, could you still work as a nurse? So I suspect you could possibly do that top up foundation year and build it up that way, couldn't you, if you wanted to become a nurse?
Yeah, so I think there's lots of different pathways into nursing, and it's really useful to have a look on like maybe the NHS Health Careers website as well, because there could be things that take a slightly less academic route. So if you're not that suited to science exams and things like that, then maybe you can look at going down an apprenticeship route or those different routes into the healthcare roles as well, and then later on top that up with maybe a nursing degree like we've mentioned. So yeah, definitely worth having a look on like the Health Careers website and just seeing those different pathways if that is something you're concerned about.
Yeah, thank you. This is an interesting question. How long does it take to complete 3 A levels?
Yeah, so normally when you do 3 A levels, it takes 2 years. So you normally spend 2 years in college to complete those A levels. So usually people do take 3 and you do all 3 subjects at the same time. And yeah, over a 2-year period.
Brilliant, thank you. And like Chloe and Lauren said, if there's any other questions, please do go on their website and have a look on the platform and ask those specific questions. I'd like to give a big thanks to Chloe and Lauren for such an insightful session, and indeed thanks to all of the students, parents, carers and teachers who have been on the broadcast with us today. Details of this week's activities can be found on GMAX. I think the website's linked in the chat box, so it's gmax.co.uk. And that's it from us. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.